So the more I think about what happened to that DCFS kid in regards to me and all of the players, the bad players were involved here. Because let me tell you a little bit more, and you'll think, how could this be happening? Seriously, because when I look back on it, there were so many strange things. So one of them, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, you have to watch my previous 2 videos, okay? But anybody who's followed me knows I brought it up about the DCFS kid in my first nursing job and the chief nursing officer emotionally abusing this kid. But see, there was a lot of bad players here, okay? That I believe are maybe involved in some corruption there, okay? So our previous chief nursing officer, before the one from University of Illinois Chicago came, everybody loved her. All the nurses did. I did too. But something happened, and then she resigned from being chief nursing officer, but then she went back to being a floor nurse there. It's weird. That just don't usually see that. And then there was some falling out. It was on another unit. And then she sued the place and got some OSHA settlement. Okay? Then all of a sudden, though, she's meeting up with us, like she's calling all the nurses. It was a freestanding psych hospital. It wasn't connected to a big hospital or anything. It was its own psych facility. But so there wasn't a lot of us. But so she would call all of us nurses to get together, and she was going to come help us by bringing the union. She brought Illinois Nurses Union to our doorstep. And, a lot of us just thought, yeah, she's just pissed off at the hospital, okay? But she wanted to get us help, is what she said, okay? But then her leaving so this former chief nursing officer brought the nursing union, Illinois Nurses Association, to us. And then she was always calling us like, have you gotten more names? Or have you gotten more names to vote? Everybody's got to vote yes, okay? Except there was one nurse who ended up going on to become an assistant to the chief nursing officer. And she was the only one in the hospital that voted no to it, okay? But the chief nursing officer they brought over was from University of Illinois Chicago. That was oversight. She was on that oversight of the DCFS wards, because UIC psych department is. So she came over, became the new chief nursing officer. Nobody liked her. She was like so phony. She's the only NP that we were all required to call her Dr. Barb. Stupid. And so she took on this one nurse that voted no to the union, which was this master degree nurse that everybody loved. I loved her. She trained me. But she was the one, she was assistant to this woman, that brought me into the office. And this is the most kindest woman you'd ever meet. I mean, everybody loved her. So neutral, sweet. Yeah, I realized when she brought me in the office and she was able to look me in the eye and say the things that she did, that's the reason I quit on the spot. I felt like I was going to throw up. I'm like, oh my God, this is a certifiable psychopath, for sure. And she is, because, a side note, 3 jobs later, I was at another psych hospital, and she was there, and she was the educator. And she screwed me over there too, because and I think it's because I speak up, okay? I'll speak up about things. I mean, I've learned to pick my battles about stuff, but it's usually regarding safety. Safety's a big issue. So they'll usually start, doing, in Illinois anyway, they'll start going after you when you speak up, so. But in regards to that first hospital, I hadn't done anything at all. They just were going after me because I was voted on this bargaining team. And so this assistant chief officer ended up being my nurse educator like 4 years later. And then she went into the Pyxis room. The Pyxis is a machine that you put your fingerprint on and you can get meds out of. And I remember when I saw her in there, I'm like, why is she in there? She's the educator. She doesn't have any patients. She doesn't need to be in the machine. She was in the machine. And then like 15 minutes later, the count was off for a controlled substance. They find ways to get you to quit. It's what they do. It's shady. It's So but I already knew she was a psychopath. So, because she was able to look me in the eye and accuse me of something she knew was not true. But then you have the players of the former chief nursing officer bringing us the union in, and then after all this happened, okay, I was speaking up, okay? I was calling aldermen. I was calling Sun Times, Chicago Tribune. Then I get a call from this former chief nursing officer saying to me at that time, I know this reporter that knows a reporter. She's going to call you. Well, that was a great way to get me to be quiet then. Then I wasn't contacting anybody anymore. But here's the thing. I didn't know then, I found out later. They were never going to put the story in. She had to have known that. She got with the Chicago, because there's something with all of these chief nursing officers at this facility and what was going on. I don't know what it was, but some sort of corruption on a major level. And maybe it's just we got caught in the crossfire, me and this, I don't know, but it's shady as shit, okay? Because she had to have known, as the former chief nursing officer, that the head of the Chicago Tribune was on the board of this hospital. I found that out later. But it was a great way to get me to stop making phone calls to people, getting this kid advocacy. Because I thought, oh yeah, I talked to this reporter for 30 minutes. She knows my story. Then I was just, waiting for the story to come out. Well, it didn't come out till a year later. And it was a 7-day spread, like trying to highlight and explode DCFS, but not a word of what happened to me. Yeah. So all the bad players, the bad reporters, had a Chicago Tribune. There was Dick Devine that was on the board of this hospital. Okay, he's a politician. And both these chief nursing officers, the one prior and the one that emotionally abused the kid, were both former Navy nurses. That just seems strange to me, but whatever. So there's major corruption. And it's like at every turn, everybody just, and here's the thing, what's really, I don't seem to be able to understand, is I resigned. So it could have been over and done with. But the union, Illinois Nurses Association, asked me to rescind it and they would fight it. But then they didn't fight it. We went to the federal level and then they didn't want to say anything about what this chief nursing officer did to this kid. It's like, are you hiding it from the federal level then? Is that what I don't know. Because it never made sense to me. None of it made sense. Like that, the whole reason we went there was to prove that I was being targeted. But then the federal said, no, there's not enough proof here. Because all he did was say, I didn't wear I wore my pin this many times. It's like, why wouldn't you tell them the most important part? That the chief nursing officer there emotionally abused a kid after the fact to try to make the case. No, he didn't want to say any of that. Nobody wanted, that's what I mean. So when I do get upset, you have to understand there's so much, this was Cook County. It wasn't Chicago, but it was Cook County. All these people are dirty that were involved in this, and all just trying to placate me. I mean, at least that former nurse, all of them, and my union lawyer. That's why you didn't do anything. But what I don't understand is then why did you want me to rescind the resignation? Why did you want to fight something that you weren't planning to defend? It's just so much to this. Just so much to it. All of these people just wanted to keep what from it getting out? Like really? Like none of these people wanted to do the right thing? I have a hard time believing that. I think they were all colluding in some way. And they didn't like that I was speaking up, which is why American Nurses Association blocked me. Well, all of you people, I'm not going to stop speaking up. You can do whatever you want to me. You've gotten away with this now for 13 years, flew under the radar. Nothing happens to you. You've got all your people telling me, or, the former nurse, that I need to just let it go and move on. Yeah. Like we should let go that you were totally screwed over and lied about by a bunch of psychopaths. Unbelievable.